What's up, people of YouTube? F-MAN CRITIC back, and, well, a day ago, I reviewed the prequel movies, Minions. Now, it's high time I review all 4 Despicable Me movies. Now, this is going to be something that's going to be happening on the channel for, like, the next week or so. Me, the F-MAN CRITIC himself, will be reviewing all 4 Despicable Me movies. I mean, you can tell why, because, you know, I reviewed the prequel movies a day ago, so it's fair that I review all the movies. Well, I'm not going to do it all in one video. To this video, I'm only going to be talking the first 2 movies. The third one will only be a standalone, and the fourth one, definitely a standalone movie. Long story short, I got a score to sell with Despicable Me 4. So, let's get into the very first Despicable Me movie, and the very first Illuminations movie. The very first Despicable Me movie released back in 2010. And, you know, I gotta say, when this movie came out, I loved it. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. Everyone loved this movie for one reason. These guys. So much so, 5 years later, they get their own movie. But outside of what these guys are in, what the movie really is about, well, even though it does take some stuff from Megamind, and truth be told, this movie, well, it starts off like this. It starts off with a Prince of Egypt reference, and then eventually a bunch of tourists seeing the Great Pyramid of Giza. But here's the thing: a little boy plays on it, almost gets flattened, but turns out the pyramid was actually a fake, replaced by a giant inflatable replica, and countries throughout the globe are shocked, trying to protect their beloved landmarks. You know, who stole the pyramid, and where will he strike next? But we get introduced to this man named Felonious Gru, who sees a poor child crying because his ice cream is on the ground. Where's this kid's parents? Anyway, but Gru, he decides to cheer this little boy up by giving him a balloon animal. You know what, this guy, he seems like a very sweet guy. I mean, look at him, he's just cheered up this little guy. I'm gonna like this character. Oh, okay then. Yeah, it turns out for Gru, he's not very decent guy. I mean, when he goes to a cafe, he pretty much freezes, and I'm assuming kills everyone in the damn cafe. But hey, at least he tips. So he makes it back home, and, you know, when he's about to enjoy what he got from the cafe, his door goes off. I've been there before. Yeah, getting cozied up, about to enjoy what I have, and then you gotta be pulling my leg. You know, the second I'm about to been there. He sees 3 girls knocking on his door for cookies for sale. Well, you know, and he pretends to be a recording. And anyway, he fights his dog Kyle because as he took in his muffin, and then there's a call on his TV. He gets introduced to Professor Farnsworth. Just kidding, it's a character named Nefario, which you all know because the previous review I did. He's basically telling us about the pyramid and how it's making every villain kind of lame. So all the minions assemble, or where Gru basically pep talks everyone about like how they've all had their great businesses and how they basically stole the Statue of Liberty, the small one from Las Vegas, and even the Eiffel Tower, also Vegas. But he has something really big, something to blow the whole pyramid thing out of the water. So his next plan is to steal... Pause for effect. So yeah, that's Gru's whole end goal. His plan is to steal the moon, and once the moon is in his possession, and, you know, the world will pay him for whatever he wants to get it back, and he will be the greatest villain of all time. You know, he discovered a lair that has a shrink ray so he can shrink the moon. And, you know, he thinks they can just get a loan from the bank, and then, you know, so we get introduced to the girls. Apparently, all 3 of them are orphans, and they're at a orphan for girls, where apparently their caretaker is a total bitch. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this woman's kind of a bitch. Like, it makes you wonder why that... Like, I'm just gonna say it. Why is it in movies that sometimes the caretaker who looks after the children, and sometimes they're such an a-hole? Like, their job is to look after the kids. Like, like, why is it always in kids' movies this is? You know, it's annoying. Whatever. So yeah, and apparently she puts these little girls in called the box of shame. I'm pretty sure that's I'm pretty sure that's child abuse in some ways. Whatever. So, we cut to Gru trying to get a loan from the bank, and we get introduced to, honestly, everyone's favorite character in this movie, Vector. But Gru just sees him as a nuisance, and, he talks to the bank manager, who's played by Will Arnett, who you might know from BoJack. And, he basically tells Gru that if they don't get his money back, well, take the apple in his hand is him. If they don't get their money back...
Get the picture?
Yeah. So, so he's just basically down him, basically, get the shrink ray and we'll talk. He even drops the truth bomb that Vector is the one who stole the pyramid. Wait, how the hell did he do it, actually? And outraged by this, Gru basically gets revenge on Vector by freezing his head. We cut to the secret lair where the shrink ray is being tested on an elephant. Jesus. Well, there's a saying, elephants have very strong memories, and something tells me this elephant will never, ever forget this. Ever. Anyway, he steals it, but then Vector shows up out of nowhere, steals it himself, because according to Vector, that's what you get when you shrink someone, when you freeze someone's head. They go through a really cool chase scene, but Vector, since he has the shrink ray, he shrinks his Gru's ship. And honestly, I love this line from Gru.
Oh, I hate that guy.
So, anyway, and I'm going to be honest here. First time watching this, honestly, I did not recognize that was Gru at first. First time watching, I thought that was someone else. I'm not going to lie. But then later I found out it was Gru. So he goes through this montage that should have killed him, by the way, where he's trying to get the shrink ray, but ends up failing miserably. Like, there's a scene where he gets eaten by a goddamn shark. Like, how the hell did he survive from that? So, and he even gets freaking rockets blown up at him. Seriously, how is Gru not dead from all that? Anyway, so he witnesses the girls, and, since they got in, he sees a meal ticket. So his plan is to adopt these girls just so he can get into the shrink ray. Kind of douchey of you, man. And that's basically like child labor in some ways. Whatever. So he adopts the girls pretending to be a dentist, and the youngest girl, she does take a liking to Gru, and but the rest of the girls are very not too pleased. They're kind of intimidated by him. When they get to his house, Edith, she kind of goes into this closet thing that's full of spikes, and holy shit.
Stay away from there and scratch.
I think we can count that as the shit got real moment.
I'm just messing with you. She's fine. I guess she's too little, so the spikes didn't, kill her. So basically, Gru is basically just establishing the rules while he's just doing some busy stuff, The oldest, Margot, she's keeping an open mind. She's also played by the same girl who played iCarly. She's willing to keep an open mind on how they're all going to be really happy here. Anyway, at some point, they manage to make cookie robots, and the girls stumble across his lair. And, we get this scene where the minions try to get Agnes a new unicorn toy because her last one got disintegrated because of Edith and Gru's tech. So yeah, there's that. So in other words, some of the minions are scheduled to babysit the girls, and and during all that, it's off to bed for the girls, and Margot gives Gru the cold shoulder, being all like, "You're never gonna be my dad," and Gru's all like, "I think I can live with that," and we know as the audience, Gru's gonna end up being these girls' dads. Yeah, this movie is gonna really follow the trend of hard, tough guy. I basically, looks after little children, and he doesn't want to look after little children. But then over time, the little children, they warm his cold heart, and he's honestly kind of grown attached to these kids. We've all seen this trend. We've all seen this movie trope before. Or at the end of the movie, he's gonna end up loving these girls. So anyway, the next day goes, and it's basically like I said, the trend of the girls, the kids trying to do their own thing while the main character wants to do their thing, but instead he ends up going along with their thing. Anyway, they manage to get to Vector's house, And they're welcomed in, and the cookie robots, they disabled all the security measures. Gru and some of the minions are in there, but they're locked out because the cookie robots they didn't program the bots to basically make sure they're out before they reseal the walls. So they're trapped in there. And we get this scene where one of the minions are apparently glow sticks. Yeah, this never comes back up later in the franchise, by the way. Like, I can't tell if that's part of their genetics or did Gru alter their DNA a little to be glow sticks. Anyway, we never see them do that again, and I would love to see that continue, if I'm being honest. Anyway, Gru is on top, and here's the thing. There's this, I don't know why he didn't just drop the shrink ray right on Vector's head. Sure, that would blow their cover, but it might knock him out cold. Instead, there's this whole scene where his pet shark sees them, and he's trying to, get to them, but he can't because he's, in his tank. He gets out, and, he takes the girls home, and, the girls want to go to this fun land, and Gru, he doesn't want to, but when he sees an opportunity to abandon the girls, how charming. Our main character wants to commit child neglect and child abandonment. How charming. Yeah, I mean, to Gru, it's all...
Oh, come on!
Light bulb.
Yeah, but tough luck trying to do that at Gru because apparently they couldn't ride without an adult, and you know the drill. At first, he doesn't really enjoy their thing, but then when Gru wins this fluffy unicorn for Agnes, he actually starts having fun with these girls, and Dr. Nefario, he thinks they're becoming a bit of a distraction. So, and basically he talks to the bank manager, aka Vector's father, and he basically likes Gru's idea. He just doesn't like Gru himself, and he's basically cutting all ties with Gru, And we get this scene where Gru as a child, where his mother basically, thinks his dreams are stupid. Oh, there's a scene just watch this scene, actually.
Look, Mom, I made a real rocket based on the macaroni prototype.
Yeah, I mean, little Gru, he managed to make a functioning rocket, and, and she's not even impressed. She's all like, meh. It's clear to me that woman wanted a daughter. Anyway, so, Gru's all mopey and sad because the bank won't be supporting him so they can build a functioning rocket. But, the minions and the girls pull through, and they'll make their own DIY rocket using whatever they can find and with all the money that they have. So screw the bank, Anyway, Vector shows up, and, his father basically reveals the girls are with him. And, Vector's going to show off his new invention, Squid Launcher. Oh, yeah! I've been wanting to do that for a while. Well, so, basically, we get this adorable montage of Gru getting ready to go to space, but, Farnsworth, he doesn't like the idea of the girls. He thinks they're becoming a distraction, and the girls are just basically showing Gru what it's like to be a dad. And at some point, there's a scene where he reads them all a bedtime story, and, seeing the mother in the book read to her babies, it almost gets Gru all emotional and cry because, his mother never really gave him that love or type of thing. I mean, remember when I mentioned in my Minions review, apparently Gru's mother would pay the kidnappers money just to keep Gru. That shit is dark, okay? I mean, fucking Gru's mother is a bitch, okay? A biatch, She, had no love or care for her son. I'm honestly surprised Gru let her go anywhere near the girls, okay? Despite what she put him through as a child, I'm surprised. I mean, it's clear to me that woman wanted a daughter, but instead she ended up getting a son. Nearly 2 sons, but we'll get to that when we get to the third one. But anyway, enough about that for now. And Gru, he's thinking, hey, maybe we should postpone our launch schedule. And Dr. Nefario, he's all like, these girls are becoming a major distraction. They have to go, And, basically there's a scene where Gru is pretending to play tea parties with the girls, and, Miss Hattie comes by, and And, apparently Nefario made a call that the girls needed to be returned, and basically third act breakup sort of deal. We get this montage where the girls and Gru are sad because their lives are now empty. And the big day comes for Gru to go to the rocket, basically something he's been dreaming of, and he makes it to the moon, almost gets stopped by Vector, but he manages to sweep Vector off, and he manages to make it to the moon and successfully shrinks the moon. According to Gru, he's got it. After all these years, he's got the moon. And then he sees his dance recital ticket for the girls, meaning that in a way he can still make it and maybe make things right with the girls. During all that, one of the minions that Gru shrunk earlier grows back to normal size. Apparently, the effects of the shrink ray weren't permanent, they were temporary. And according to Dr. Nefario, the larger of an object that gets shrunken down, the quicker that the effects of the shrink ray wear off. So, in other words, basically, Gru's got an hour until the moon is back to its normal size. But he doesn't know that yet. And so he tries to make it back to the girls, make it to the recital by committing a bit of property damage, a shit ton of property damage. And he makes it there, but it's too late. And Vector showed up earlier, and he has the girls. He makes it to the lair, and, Vector's all like, give me the moon, then we'll talk. But Vector, he backstabs them. And, he basically keeps the girls. Why, dude? You got what you wanted. Why do you need the girls for? You wanted the moon. That was it. You have no need for the girls. So, why you still have them, man? And anyway, Gru comes in all badass. He even freaking punches the shark.
You punched my shark!
Damn, Gru. When did you get so cool, man? Anyway, the Vector's ship turns into a rocket and it tries to blast off, and Gru climbs onto the pyramid. Apparently, Vector, he stole the pyramid, but apparently he stored it next to his house camouflaged. You're telling me no one, noticed this? Even if he did camouflage it to the sky, you're telling me no one, saw that there was a camouflage-shaped pyramid next to his house. I know you didn't have the shrink ray, so you couldn't shrink it, but still, hell, you had the shrink ray earlier, Vector, so I'm surprised you didn't shrink it then. And instead, you were too busy shrinking everything in your bathroom. And I forgot to play this scene earlier, so I'm going to play it now. I freaking love this scene of Vector. Once again, he's being the best character, but at the same time being the dumb character as well. But at the same time, the best character.
Oh, look at you, a little tiny toilet for a little tiny baby to... Ah! Curse you, tiny toilet!
Anyway, Gru almost fails getting to the ship, but Nefario shows up with the full-grown ship. I forgot to mention the ship grew back to the size, because again, the larger of the shrink ray wears off. In other words, Dr. Nefario calls it the Nefario principle. And, as Gru realizes it, the shrink ray on the moon wears off, making the moon grow back to its normal size, putting the girls and Vector both in danger in the ship. We get this cool climax where the ship is chasing up with Vector's house, and while the moon is growing, and Gru managed to successfully save Edith and Agnes, but Margot, she almost got held hostage by Vector, but the moon, and... Well, Gru manages to save Margot, and Vector, he got blasted off to the moon.
Oh, poop.
Don't worry, that's not the end for Vector. He does get a short movie in about 13 years, I believe, or is it 14? Either way, he does come back later. So, anyway, the girls are reunited. Gru managed to adopt these girls again. Now, listen, I never adopted a child before in my life, but I'm pretty sure you can't re-adopt a child. Wait, can you? I don't know the rules to adoption childish, so tell me in the comments how this stuff works, but I highly doubted that the orphanage just let Gru adopt the girls again. Anyway, Gru missed their recital, so the girls gave him a new recital. Well, Gru's mother shows up saying, "You did a better job than me." Yeah, damn right he did. Again, I'm honestly surprised you're in the girls' lives despite how you treat your own son, lady. Anyway, one of the minions gets bored, so he turns it into awesome music. So they have a little dance scene, because remember, this is a kids' movie, and all kids' movies must have a dance scene at the end. The movie ends with Gru as the role of a changed man, as a changed person, and I forgot to mention earlier before the dance thing. He said he read the girls a news story instead of the Three Little Kittens. Instead, he read them about the unicorn that he made himself, basically establishing how the girls changed his life for the better. Gru's now a changed man. He's no longer evil. Instead, he wants to be a father. And he basically the movie ends with Gru as a changed man and new father watching the moon with the girls. And that was Despicable Me 1. And it was perfect. Like, I gotta say, like I didn't appreciate it until recently, Like, I'm just saying, man. Like, one thing is, the minions are freaking tamed as shit in this movie.
What?
Like, I'm not kidding. Like, seriously, despite these being basically the cash cow of Illuminations, these guys were freaking tamed as hell in this movie, okay? But there continues to hijack. Each movie gets worse and worse with each Minion movie, okay? But in this movie, they're pretty damn tamed, okay? And it was a very heartwarming story. Although it basically follows the trend about a tough guy basically looking after children and then growing attached to these children, it still nails it spot on, and again, Illumination's first movie, spot on, I say, like, it was really well put together, and again, minions were tame as hell, but because, children saw these things and adored them, and because of some Facebook memes, these guys serve a much bigger point in the sequel. Despicable Me 2 came out 3 years after the first movie, and like I said before, first time when these movies came out, I didn't really appreciate them. I mean, I basically saw them for what they were, the minions, that was it. But now that I'm older, and, I see the story now, I'm just saying, until recently with the franchise, I didn't know, and I think we all didn't know how good we had it with Despicable Me with the first two movies, okay? Because the first two movies definitely told a very good story here, I mean, the first one was perfect, and the second one, I honestly believe, was a very good addition to the story, Like, what is this movie all about? Well, apparently it takes place in a very frozen land where a laboratory that was working on a genetic mutation gets stolen by a giant ass magnet ship. Anyway, and then we see this man who we know from Minions: The Rise of Gru is Cyrus. He tells someone in the shadows to bring him in, which we all know is Gru. Gru, on the other hand, he's getting ready for something big, something huge. He's getting ready for a birthday party. And not just any birthday party, Agnes's birthday party, and, it's actually really cute what Gru is doing. Like, you should see his house now. I mean, first movie, it looked very lifeless, but now it's all filled with, decorations, and his grass is greener, and it's like, Anyway, Gru, he can't get in touch with a fairy princess as for his daughter's birthday party, so instead, Gru does the next best thing in a total sweet dad move. He pretty much puts on a big dress and he calls himself Gru Tinkerbell. That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny. And I do love this part when he introduces himself to the girl.
How come you're so fat?
Because my house is made of candy, and sometimes I eat instead of facing my problems.
Trust me, Gru Tinkerbell, that does not solve your problems. Take it from me. Anyway, since the first movie was about Gru getting children, now this movie is about him getting a wife. There's this woman named Jillian who's trying to get Gru laid. But he doesn't really care about getting a girlfriend or having any relationships. He's happy with his life as it is, okay, as a single father. Anyway, he meets a lady who eventually is, Gru's love interest, Lucy Wilde. And I gotta say, the actress who plays Lucy Wilde, she's really a good choice to play as Lucy in this. Like, I couldn't think of a better actress to play Lucy in this. I honestly believe that the actress who plays her is having a blast with this role. And every second Lucy's on screen, you can really tell her actress had fun voicing this character.
Yeah, what you just saw there was a little something new I've been working on. It's a combination of jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, Aztec warfare, and crumping.
Anyway, she basically lipstick tasers Gru and puts her in the trunk of her car, and a couple of minions associates with her, and, Anyway, Gru gets kidnapped and taken to the Anti-Villain League, where he meets up with someone he met when he was 11, Cyrus Ramsbottom. Anyway, he gets kidnapped because, as the lab that was testing a mutagen called PX41, which apparently gives creatures crazy ass, goofy teeth and purple skin and purple hair, and makes them go fucking insane and crazy and will kill anything they see. So, yeah, Gru, he declines, he's very happy being a father and working on a very successful jams and jelly business, so he declines. But Lucy, she's all like, hey, if you ever want to get in touch with some action, give me a call or sometime, and, Anyway, Gru takes the girls into bed, and, they talk about with Jillian hooking Gru up, and, well, we get this stuff about Gru as a child. The reason why Gru doesn't really want to go on a date is because, well, he's had some emotional troubles when he tried to ask a girl.
Hey, Lisa, I was wondering if you...
Ew! Gru touched Lisa! Gru touched Lisa! Ew! Lisa's got crudies!
What a bitch.
Jesus Christ, crudies? Like, seriously, what are we all, 5? Jesus. Just when you thought Gru had it rough enough with his mom, now kids on school were making fun of him and stuff. Jeez. Can poor kid Gru get a break? Anyway, he tries to go to his business of the jams and jellies, but Nefario, he's tired. Like, he doesn't want to do this. Like, he loves being evil. He lives for being evil. So he had a job offering from somewhere else. So Nefario, he basically leaves the movie, and, Gru, he kind of misses the thrill and the action. Like, Nefario's not the only one who misses the thrill and the action of evil. So he decides to take Lucy's offer on that call, and, well, one thing led to another. He's got a job working as a secret agent, and he goes to the Paradise Mall where he's working at a cupcake shop where he's associated with Lucy as his partner. Dave walks in and he has a fantasy about Lucy being his girlfriend. I do not want to see a minion hook up with a human. No, sir, I do not want to see that in my head. Anyway, Gru thinks he doesn't need a partner, but, it's basically this, like, the last movie was following a trope. This movie's going to follow the trope of a character, don't want a business partner or a female working with them, or some kind of male, or basically a character working with them, but then over time, during that movie, he actually grows feelings for this character, and they end up getting together. We've seen it done before, but like the last movie, this movie pulls it off, okay? Anyway, we get introduced to this very jolly dude named Alberto. Well, I'm just going to call him El Macho, because that's who he is. Sorry to give away the twist villain in the end, but Gru recognizes him and says he's an old villain named El Macho. But he doesn't seem like El Macho, because this guy is very jolly. He's throwing a party, and, he needs all their delicious cupcakes. Like, I honestly like this guy. Like, he's honestly very jolly, very nice, and, like, it's honestly a shame he's actually the villain. It's always the jolly and nice ones who are always the bad guys, So, apparently, the whole point of El Macho's deal was, 20 years ago, he was one of the best villains, Oh, he was, he managed to commit heists with his bare hands, and like the name suggests, he was very macho about it. but he apparently, but like all the good ones, he died, because apparently, like, he had, like, tons of explosives strapped to him, he was riding a shark, and he was aiming for a volcano. Why did he do that? Why did he, like, do this thing? Like, we know he did it to fake his death, but, like, no one was forcing him to do this thing. Like, why was he doing it for? Or, I mean, we know he fakes his death, but still, whatever. So anyway, if anyone thinks that they have the PX41 serum, he thinks it's him. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they found traces of the serum in the mall, so that's why Gru is at the mall. So they believe that El Macho might have it, and we do find out he does have it. So they go and sneak around. He think he has the serum, and I won't lie, I love this line from Lucy.
You never know what kind of booby traps this guy could have set, huh? Come on.
There are no booby traps.
Ha! Booby!
Yeah, and apparently that booby trap set off a very crazy chicken who looks adorable, but don't take his looks. Apparently that thing is very deadly. Apparently that thing has been taking lessons from Ginger from Chicken Run, because that thing attacks, Anyway, as I was saying earlier, they think they found the serum, but turns out it's just salsa. Eduardo, yeah, that was the name he was using. He comes in, sees the mess, doesn't recognize Gru and Lucy, so he doesn't kill them, and, they manage to get away, and during all this commotion, I forgot to mention earlier, there were a couple of clips and scenes where we see minions getting kidnapped, by who? By, El Macho, because I mentioned it earlier. And why is he going to kidnap them? Well, we'll get to that soon. And so he ends. Anyway, they're at the mall again, and apparently Margot, she has the hots for a boy that came by, and apparently this boy named Alberto. Was it Alberto? I think it's Alberto. No, I don't think it's Alberto. What's the name of the kid again? Eduardo. I think it's no. Damn it! I forgot the kid's name. Look, I'm just gonna call him. I'm just gonna call him El Macho Jr. Because apparently that's El Macho's son. Apparently, and apparently this is what Gru has to say about Margot going on a date.
Se llama Antonio. Me llamo Margot.
Me llama Llama Ding Dong. Who cares? Let's go.
Yeah, apparently Gru, he doesn't like the idea of his daughters going on a date because he doesn't want them to be as heartbroken as he was when he was a kid. So, that's what... So, when he finds out that's El Macho's kid, he basically has to keep his he basically has to make sure Margot keeps his distance from this boy. Basically, Lucy and Gru, they try to go to this wig shop, and basically what happens is Gru has a belt buckle and it'll make sounds when he goes somewhere that's near the serum. But basically it looks like he's just rubbing his crotch all over everything. Anyway, we see the minions, the ones that got kidnapped. Apparently they're on a very, very beautiful, sunny vacation day. Ooh, this place looks really good. But apparently it's not all what it's cracked up to be, apparently. Apparently it's a dark secret. Apparently the minions are being monitored. Anyway, Gru tries to do some research on El Macho, but he ends up getting forced to go on a date. And since, he's bald, and, so he gets the wig that he got from the shop earlier, and he goes on a date with the voice who plays Mabel Pines. And she basically finds out that he's wearing a wig, and she's all like, I hate phonies, I'm going to rip that thing off to show everyone what a phony you are. But Lucy intervenes, tranks her, and, this woman goes through kind of a bit of abuse. Granted, she was rude, and she was going to expose Gru to the entire restaurant about him wearing a wig. And honestly, the bitch did deserve, get put in her place or something like that, but... Jesus Christ, she didn't deserve to get strapped on top of her car, and eventually this. Yeah, she may have been a bit of a rude bitch, but, she didn't deserve that. Jesus. Anyway, Gru and Lucy, they kind of have, a heart-to-heart moment, and next day, Gru, he gets all happy because he's ready to go work with his co-worker, who he now has feelings for, but apparently they managed to capture the wig shop owner, and apparently they found traces of the mutagen, and they think it was him. And so, apparently Gru, he's jobless again, and Lucy, she's gonna go to Australia now, and, it's basically the third act breakup. Gru's all mopey and depressed, and, so he tries to practice this asking Lucy out, but like most guys who's never been on a date before, or, he basically has trouble, and, he doesn't really ask Lucy out. He goes to El Macho's party, which, by the way, he invited him earlier, and, we get this really funny scene, this really funny montage of Gru intervening with Margot dancing with her boyfriend, and it's actually pretty funny. And I love the song that's playing, Oh, anyway, he gets all depressed, and he has a nacho cheese hat, and, El Macho comes in, gives him words of encouragement, and, Gru gets suspicious, follows him, and finds out he has a secret cave. But first he goes through a dance floor that's booby-trapped, and goes through things that should have killed him. But he discovers he was El Macho the whole time. The whole time, no one believed him, but he managed to believe, but he found out he was El Macho. And apparently he's been working with Dr. Nefario the whole time, and what he did was, what El Macho's plan was, he stole the PX-41 serum, stole some of Gru's minions to make an army, and his plan was to team up with Gru, and, and the entire world would get eaten. They can rule the world with indestructible killing machines, And it sounds very thought out, but I'm sorry, but I just have to point this out, actually, El Macho. Does your son know about your whole evil thing? Like, does he know you've always been, like, evil? Like, we never see your son's mother, so, and I tried doing my research on this. Like, we don't know who his mother is, we don't know if he knew about his father's intentions, and we don't know what happens to him after this movie, because, like, you could have just done this thing where El Macho Jr. was actually like a clone or a robot or just something just to keep El Macho on the downhill, making him look like a charming man and with a son, He could have just made him like a robot or something. But no, apparently he's just some random kid who El Macho claims is his son, but, like, we don't really know their relationship, their dynamic, or does El Macho Jr. know about his father's true goals, Anyway, Gru, he's all like, yeah, I'm totally in, But El Macho's not convinced, and he unleashes Mutant Kevin on him, and, and Dr. Nefario, he kind of feels bad, because when Lucy returns, El Macho hold her hostage, and, he communicates Gru, telling El Macho has Lucy, and Gru, he goes all badass, and he tries to go rescue her. Anyway, Mutant Kevin finds the girls, and it's just me, or does it seem where Kevin have Agnes's fluffy unicorn kind of, like, even when I watched it for the first time, I was like, what the hell? Anyway, Margot, and Agnes managed to get to the basement, and, but Mutant Kevin comes up, looks like he's about to eat the girls, but Dr. Nefario comes in with the PX-43, aka the antidote. Oh, and Gru comes in with two minions that he painted purple to get through, and they blew their cover, and, they're almost chased down and almost eaten, but the ship shows up. Nefario put the antidote in the jelly, putting it to some good use, and, turns all the mutant minions back to normal. According to Nefario, no one messes with his family. So, Gru, basically like in the last movie, goes all badass, turning all the mutant minions back to normal, and basically stopping El Macho. And El Macho reveals that Lucy's strapped to a rocket, and it will go into the volcano where he faked his death, but this time it will be for reals. But he gets the remotes taken off him, so El Macho takes what's left of the mutagen, drinks it, and turns into Mutant El Macho. And, I'm sorry, but again, does your kid know about all of this? No, I forgot to mention this earlier, but after the party, apparently El Macho Jr. dumped Margot for a prettier girl, and Gru freezes him, and El Macho doesn't even bring that up during the fight. Like, what the hell? Like, seriously, was this kid ever in on his dad's plan? Or was he just a random kid? Or was he a clone? Or was he a robot? Like, seriously, you gave Vector his own spin-off of 10-minute short movie. So why not give this kid a short movie, Illumination? Like, I want an El Macho Jr. origin short movie about about where this kid came from and and where is he now. Now, come on, Illumination, give me this, you know? Anyway, he tries to shoot him with the jelly, but the gun's jammed, and so he basically uses lipstick taser on him, and basically he tries to free Lucy, but El Macho's chicken comes in, and well, Gru really wishes he turned that thing into a family-sized bucket sooner. Because the rocket goes in, and although this is the worst time to say it, Gru asks Lucy out on a date, which she replies with yes. Anyway, they manage to make it, and some time passes, and apparently Gru and Lucy, they're hitched now. They're now hitched. They're married. It's wonderful for Gru. The girls now have a stepmom now, and it's a really beautiful sight to be seen. And the minions now sing in Minions version of I Swear and YMCA, and the movie was a perfect way, and this is how they end this film. Yeah, someone get a jelly gun, because this little guy, I needs it. And that was Despicable Me too. And it was just honestly, better than the first, if I'm being honest. I mean, it doesn't have that emotional stuff from the first movie with Gru and the girls, but it was still good. It was action-packed, and it had its emotional bits in it. Honestly, it was the sequel the first one deserved, and I'm glad it got it. And honestly, it should have been where the franchise ended, but unfortunately, because the Minions were so popular, they had to get their own spin-off movie, which I'm fine with, but still. But we're not talking about Minions, because I already did review it. Instead, we ended up getting a Despicable Me 3, which I will be reviewing shortly, soon, okay? But I will certainly say, the first two Despicable Me movies were two classics of Illuminations. Illuminations' bestest work. I mean, this one, however, had definitely much more action-packed, brighter animation, I will certainly say, and made the song Cause I'm Happy be very popular at the time. I remember when this movie came out, it made the song Because I'm Happy very popular. Anyway, I'm just saying, these two were a work of art, and, just a masterpiece from Illumination, and it goes downhill from here, because ever since the Minions movie, the Minions hijacked the franchise, But we'll get to Despicable Me 3 when we get to Despicable Me 3 and number 4. But for the time being, we did not know how good we had it with the first two movies. The first two movies were absolute great, and I can't praise these movies enough. I mean, the first two were the best ones of Illumination's work. Okay, it was good. They were perfect, to say the least. The first two movies had it managed to balance humor, action, and emotional scenes. It managed to fit all that into a kids movie. You think since this movie's for kids because of fucking Minions, but no, it managed to balance humor, action, and heartfelt moments. I'm just saying, the first two Despicable Me movies were absolutely amazing. Okay, I recommend the first two Despicable Me movies, okay, because these were the best from Illuminations. This is the F-Man Critic telling you to like, subscribe, hit notification. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!